Zelenskyy, what do you need for Ukraine?
Should the world seize Russian assets?
What do you need for Ukraine?
I think you will hear during my speech everything.
Why are you in Davos?
What?
Why are you in Davos?
You will see also the answer for this question.
Should the world seize Russian assets?
Very true. What?
President Zelenskyy, what about the summit in Latin America with Argentina?
Which plan?
Okay.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, please join me in welcoming Volodymyr Zelenskyy, the President of Ukraine. Mr. President, after having had the pleasure to welcome already the last 2 years very powerful delegations from your country, it's now my great honor to actually welcome you back to Davos, because during your remarks at the annual meeting 2020, where you were among us, you mentioned that the biggest threat to a cohesive and sustainable world was security. You also warned of the consequences of accepting the new normality when at the same time parts of your country had already been under partial occupation for 6 years. Mr. President, the brutal aggression on the 24th of February 2022 reminded us that we cannot have global prosperity without peace and security. Nearly 2 years since the war, Ukraine still stands. Its people stand and fight on a daily basis to protect the interdependence of their homeland. Thanks to your leadership, Mr. President, as well as the determination of every Ukrainian citizen, your country has remained incredibly resilient in response to the war. We are deeply grateful to you and the Ukrainian people for defending the values which are at the core of the international system and at the heart of liberal democracy. In 2022, Ukraine was granted EU candidate status, and just last month, formal accession negotiations began. There is no question that Ukraine remains firmly on the path of European integration as a result of you and your government's policies. We are eager to hear from you on what lies ahead for Ukraine in this critical time for your country, not only for your country, for Europe and for the world. Mr. President, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Professor Schwab, thank you for your very kind introduction. President Brandon, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate your willingness to hear answers to truly important questions. When will the war end? Is the third world war possible? Is it time to negotiate with Putin? The full-scale war in Europe has been ongoing for nearly 2 years. Counting the time since Russia's illegal annexation of our Crimea, it's been almost 10 years. And for almost 10 years, Russia has been interfering in African countries from Sudan to Mali. The Syrian war still bleeding because of Putin's decision to prove something to the world has been ongoing for almost 13 years. In fact, one man has stolen at least 13 years of peace, replacing them with pain, and crises that impact the entire world. Putin is trying to normalize what should have ended in the 20th century. Mass deportations, cities and villages razed to the ground, and the terrifying feeling that the war may never end. In fact, Putin embodies war. We all know that he is the sole reason why various wars and conflicts persist and why all attempts to restore peace have failed, and he will not change. He will not change. We must change. We all must change to the extent that the madness that resides in this man's head or any other aggressor's head will not prevail. Putin is frank about what he wants, what he does, and who his targets are. His answer to the duration of the war is always war, without an end, and he wants in this way. His answer to the limits of chaos in the world is the boundless support of terrorist forces. He enjoys conflicts that cause suffering to others. His answer to calls for peace is supplying more and more weapons from North Korea and Iran. Regimes like his exist as long as they wage wars. And we all in a free world exist as long as we can defend ourselves. If anyone thinks this is only about us, this is only about Ukraine, they are fundamentally mistaken. Possible directions and even timeline of a new Russian aggression beyond Ukraine become more and more obvious. Let me ask very honestly, which European nation today can provide a combat-ready army on par with ours, holding back Russia? And how many men and women are your nation ready to send to defend another state, another nation? And if one must fight against Putin together in the years ahead, isn't it better to put an end to him and his war strategy now, while our brave men and women are already doing it? They are the world's chance. They are. In any dire confrontation, there's always a point where a catastrophe can be stopped. Ukraine is that opportunity, and we all in the free world must be unwavering in our pursuit of our desires, actions, and goals. Just as Putin is frank about his doom-laden ambitions, we all Ukrainians began our defense at a time when almost no one in the world believed in Ukraine, but we turned tables so that now the world has stopped believing in Russia. Even Putin's current buddies in Pyongyang and Tehran are simply using his madness while he still has technologies and resources to pay them. No one believes in his future or invests in it. And we, all of us today, even more than yesterday, must invest in bringing peace closer, a peace that is both just and stable. Before the full-scale invasion, we constantly heard, don't escalate. And we called for proactive action, sanctions to prevent war expansion. And we were told, don't escalate. And after February 24th, nothing harmed our coalition more than this concept. Every don't escalate to us sounded like you will prevail to Putin. And we asked for new types of weapons, and the response was don't escalate. But then weapons arrived and there was no escalation. A Russian missile fell on NATO territory. The response again was don't escalate. But retaliation at the moment could have taught Russia a lot and would have added necessary confidence to the West. We talked about blocking the transit of sanctioned goods to Kaliningrad, but the response was don't escalate. Full force of the sanctions could have forced Putin to concessions. Because of don't escalate, time was lost. And the lives of many of our most experienced warriors who fought since 2014 were lost. Some opportunities were lost. The lesson is clear. Everyone thought Russia had missiles that couldn't be shot down. Patriots shoot down everything, and many feared the consequences if Ukraine gets long-range weapons. As a result, Russia just loses more. And we heard Russia would never allow a grain corridor without its involvement. Nearly 16 million tons of cargo have been transported from our ports. And we can prove that Russia will reconcile with the complete loss of its Black Sea fleet, which terrorized commercial ships. And we must gain air superiority for Ukraine just as we have gained superiority at the Black Sea. We can do it. Partners know what's needed and in what quantities. This will allow progress on the ground. Just 2 days ago, ladies and gentlemen, just 2 days ago, we proved Ukraine can even hit very valuable Russian military aircraft, which no one had shot down before. Many sanction steps were delayed for months, even years, because they have faced storms of threats from Moscow. But none of those threats came true. Each storm turned out to be their bluff. And how can one be satisfied with the sanctions against Russia or export controls if they don't even block its missile production? In every Russian missile, there are critical components from Western countries, dozens of components in every missile. And it's true, it's a fact. And of course, I'm grateful for each package of sanctions. Thanks, partners, thank you. But bringing peace closer will be a reward for all those who care to ensure that sanctions work 100%. And by the way, it's a clear weakness of the West that Russia's nuclear industry is still not under global sanctions, even though Putin is the only terrorist in the world who took a nuclear power plant hostage. It must be a strong decision this year when frozen Russian assets, soaring and oligarchic, will be directed towards defense against the Russian war and for reconstruction of Ukraine. Putin loves money above all. The more billions he and his oligarchs, friends and accomplices lose, the more likely he will regret starting this war. Putin must regret. We need him to lose. We need to finally dispel the notion that global unity is weaker than one man's hatred. And we can do it. Ladies and gentlemen, this year must be decisive. Can freezing the war in Ukraine be its end? I don't want to settle for the truism that any frozen conflict will eventually reignite. And I remind you that after 2014, there were attempts to freeze the war in Donbass. There were very very influential guarantors of those by the way, of those processes than Chancellor of Germany and the presidents of France. But Putin is a predator who is not satisfied with the frozen products. And we have to defend ourselves, our children, our houses, our lives. And we have to do it, and we can beat him on the ground. We have proved it, and at sea and in the skies. And we ramp up production of weapons. We achieved economic growth in Ukraine. Our GDP is moving up despite the war, plus more than 5% last year. And we got the decision on EU accession negotiations, and we are normalizing the idea that the aggressions can be defeated, even Putin's aggressions, which have been ongoing for 10 years and more. And now we can say, don't escalate, to all who doubt, to all who want to reduce support. And in this warning, we will be absolutely correct, because every reduction in pressure on the aggressor adds years to the war. But every investment in the confidence of the defender shortens the war. We must make it possible to answer the most important question. The war will end with a just and stable peace. And I want you to be the part of this peace, starting from right now, to bring the peace closer. And we need you in Ukraine to build, to reconstruct, to restore our lives. Each of you can be even more successful with Ukraine. And these days, right here, in such beautiful country, in Switzerland, we have made a key political contribution to the possibility of ending the war. There was the most representative meeting of national security advisors regarding the implementation of the peace formula. More than 80 countries and international institutions were represented. Yesterday, I had very productive negotiation with the President of Switzerland, and discussing the possibility of holding a summit at the leaders level in Switzerland, the first summit, the Global Peace Summit. Today, our teams have already begun work on organization such a summit, not the World War III, but the Global Peace Summit. And I invite every leader and country that respects peace and international law to join us. Together we can answer any crucial questions, and it will be the best answers. Peace must be the answer. Thank you for your invitation, and thank you for attention. Slava Ukraini. Thank you.
Mr. President, I think you can feel the warmth from the audience. I never seen this room so full. And thank you for your historical speech here in Davos. I think we all know when we are witnessing history, and with President Zelenskyy, he's one of the historical figures of our time. To stand against Russia as one of the largest military powers in the world, like you and your people have done, is, of course, truly historic. But we will also have to turn to the next chapters, and you also mentioned that Ukraine's economy is still growing with more than 5%. You also mentioned that Russia has seen a lot of losses, more than 300,000 soldiers, more than half of their tanks, and also their Black Fleet fleets. I was just wondering, listening to you, how long will the Russian people let Putin continue with this?
Дуже цікаво ваше запитання, як довго російський...
Let's see if everyone gets on.
Yeah, please.
And here you have some water.
Try. No, I have water.
Okay.
I will wait. I have enough time till morning. No, I have no time. Sorry. If you have...
You have a war to win, no? Okay.
I have a lot of work. Thank you so much. No, it's a great...
So,
Can I speak Ukrainian?
yeah, of course, everyone has their...
Everybody understands Ukrainian. Okay, that's great.
With the interpretation, yes.
I see. Yeah. What we will speak about serious topics, but sometime we need pauses for jokes.
Gallows humor.
No. You know what is funny? Now I'm speaking English and have Ukrainian translation here. So it's thanks technologies. But it has to be opposite.
How did it sound?
I have to speak Ukrainian.
How did it sound in Ukrainian?
Great.
Yeah.
My voice is better here. So I don't like to hear my voice. Добре, дякую. Чому я хотів відповісти українською? Я вам поясню. Ви навіть не розумієте, яка різниця між вами і між нами і цією людиною, як Путін. Тому що ви зараз сказали, і в вашому запитанні було все. Відмінність автократії від демократії. В тому, що ви сказали, скільки народ, що як цікаво, скільки народ Росії дозволить ще Путіну. І далі вже не важливо війну, вибори, бути керівником їх держави. Питання в тому, що ми з вами однаково це розуміємо, скільки народ дозволить. Це і є принципи демократії. А в цьому і різниця. Нічого народ не дозволяє президенту Путіну. Питання, скільки Путін і що він дозволяє своєму народові. І тому питання, воно стоїть по-іншому. Питання стоїть в тому, що а скільки народ готовий бути, не чути нічого, бути просто глухим, нічого не бачити, робити вигляд, що все нормально, все йде правильно. Тобто питання це не до мене, питання до народу Російської Федерації, питання до них. Чи вони спроможні змінити себе або ні. І це виключна така ситуація. А Путін, це те, про що я говорив, Путін, я не вірю, що ця людина спроможна змінитись, бо тільки люди спроможні це робити.
Very interesting. I'll try another question then. We know that...
Try.
Yeah, try. I'm realistic. We know that the EU and the US has now been holding back for a week or two the latest support to Ukraine. I know that you're meeting European leaders. You met with President von der Leyen. I think you also meet with the key American leaders here. Are you concerned that this is taking a lot of time, or is this just a question of weeks before it is resolved?
Дякую за запитання. Я думаю, що це питання тижнів. Я маю позитивні сигнали, що Європа підтримує нас, саме країни Європейського Союзу. І так само я впевнений, що вирішиться питання щодо допомоги в Конгресі. Без цього це неможливо. Ми провели багато різних дискусій, діалогів, зустрічей. Я думаю, що ми не просто так витрачаємо час. Такий час дороговартісний для нас дуже, тому що ми в час війни маємо бути в своїй державі. І це важливо приїжджати, комунікувати з партнерами, зустрічатися, але тим не менш є пріоритети в воєнний час. І тому я вірю, що буде дуже позитивна реакція від наших партнерів. Ми не даємо Росії окупувати нас, ми стоїмо міцно, дякуючи нашим воїнам. Що стосується реформ, весь цей лист реформ, наші обіцянки, пропозиції Європейського Союзу та Міжнародного валютного фонду, Україна виконує швидше, ніж до війни, тому що ми згрупувалися, тому що Україна в час війни показала, що може бути міцною і реформувати державу.
I think it's also, Mr. President, a good reminder to all of us that when Putin attacked, saying that it was just false allegations that he was going to attack Ukraine, that he said the evening before the attacks started, you've been able to take back 50% of the territory that he occupied. I think it's also important to remind ourselves that you did even before you got the Western weapons support. That was based on your old army. And you have a much stronger army now, probably the 6th, 7th strongest army in the world. But I think, if I may, if you could share the sentiment among the people in your country. How do Ukrainians now feel after 2 years of this war? Are they as committed or even more committed after all the atrocities, the latest shelling and also killing of civilians? Because you also have to manage your own population.
Дякую за складне, напевно, дуже запитання. Перш за все, український народ ніколи не пробачить Путіну, його оточенню і всім тим, хто спонсорував весь цей тероризм, хто відібрав у нас життя, наших людей, наших дітей, час тих діточок, які, слава Богу, вижили, але яким прийшлося подорослішати через цю війну і просто позбавили їх дитинства. І, на жаль, мої співчуття ще раз тим, кого позбавили близьких, рідних. Тому казати про якісь пробачення чи час, як то кажуть, час грає на користь і Путіну, і що люди в Україні забудуть. Ні. Відпочивати і на цьому світі, і на іншому він спокійно не буде. Ні його діти, ні його онуки. Так, ми не терористи, і тому це будуть кримінальні, судові процеси, і обов'язково буде відповідальність. Відповідальність має бути, бо після цього терору прийдуть інші повторення автократії, агресії. Значить, так можна, якщо немає ніяких наслідків. Тому ніхто нічого нікому з вбивць не пробачить. Це перше. Але не це підтримує моральний дух українців. Не помста. Не можна порівнювати помсту і справедливість. Я зараз говорив про справедливість, не про помсту. А справедливість має бути в вироках. У вироках і в конкретних людях, яким вироки, в конкретних роках і в конкретних місцях, де вони повинні провести довгу, дуже вірю в справедливість, довгу багаторічну відпустку. Питання саме справедливості. Моральний дух тримає бажання українців бути свободними. І за свободу, і за права людей, і за свій вибір, як ти хочеш жити, кого ти хочеш обирати, кого ти хочеш любити, де ти хочеш відпочивати. Ось за цей вибір, саме за свободу, і бореться український народ. Бореться абсолютно сміливо, міцно. І я вважаю, що він бореться за наші з вами спільні цінності. Складно зрозуміти ціну цих цінностей коли у тебе немає війни. І тому так важлива ваша підтримка. Так важливо, щоб цивілізовані люди розуміли цю ціну ще до того, як може статися лихо. І якщо ми всі це зрозуміємо, ми об'єднаємось в допомозі Україні і в політичній ізоляції Путіна. А якщо ми це зробимо, то це буде правильні політичні превентивні кроки, щоб війна не пройшла скрізь Україну і не прийшла в інші країни. А саме цього хоче Путін, відволікаючи своє рабське населення, бідних людей. Він не спроможний побудувати ринкову економіку в Росії. Він не зміг це зробити. Він не зміг людей зробити, середній клас зробити з бідних людей. Дати людям насолоджуватись результатом своєї роботи, насолоджуватись своїм життям. І тому він їм запропонував радикалізм за рахунок Кремля, їх брехливої інформаційної політики. І завдяки війні, якщо ти не можеш дати економіку, він знайшов їм інші, в лапках, перемоги. Це окупація інших народів, приниження, знищення. Ось і все. Вибачте, я відповідав дуже довго. Ваше запитання було коротше.
I think they're more interested in hearing you than me. I think, Mr. President,
Enough?
I think that was an amazing way to end. Maybe just short question, how can we, in this room, and also we discussed this morning with, you had 70 global CEOs in the room, how can we even better contribute for the principles you laid out and for Ukraine?
Я сказав сьогодні вам абсолютно відверто, я вважаю, що наша міць і наш скарб України – це перш за все люди. І вони довели всьому світу, що вони розумні, талановиті, сучасні і кмітливі, вони сміливі і абсолютно відкриті. І я сказав вам, що для нас сьогодні побудувати міцну економіку може тільки наше населення, наш народ і ваші інвестиції. Робочі місця, багато робочих місць. І для цього нам потрібні нормальні інвестиції, абсолютно зрозумілих, прогнозованих, чистих компаній. І я впевнений, що це нас зміцнить, тому що збільшить робочі місця, збільшить можливість для наших людей повертатись з-за кордону додому. І як я вам сказав, абсолютно відкрито, Путін зміг заходити тільки в ті селища, де він вбив людей або де не було людей, і вони бігли через цю війну. А якщо багато людей в містах, і вони готові були захищати свою землю, і вони її захистили. Тому зміцнюйте, будь ласка, нашу економіку, ми зміцнемо вашу безпеку. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's been an. You see?
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. All the best.